All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsmen. We got the boys here. We're in the seats for a while here. We're ready to go. We're going to do a nice long one for you guys. We've got Bear Down. We've got Joey Cold Cuts. We've got Joey Cold Cuts. And we've got me, the Big Thicket. Gentlemen, a lot happened. I don't want to say that some people were exposed, but some people were exposed. But we're going to get there. We're going to have you guys like, comment, subscribe on the Instagram, on the YouTube before we get started. Throw your questions on the Instagram. Mr. Anderson will send them our way, and we will finish with that at the end of each episode. But let's just jump right into college football. A lot happened. We'll focus on some of the bigger storylines. None bigger than Colorado absolutely imploding against Standford. I mean, Mikey V, what happened there for Coach Prime and the boys?
Well, I mean, something that should have never, ever happened. And for the way they approach games and the way that they carry themselves and, a lot of, confidence, a lot of swag, this, that, and the other. You got Shedeur Sanders at halftime, Instagram posting his merch store, which... Listen, I don't have any issue with self-promotion, and I don't have any issue with making money, but I mean, halftime of the game, and then you do that can't happen. So it's terrible for Colorado, but Colorado football is still in the best place that it's been in years because of Prime and because of their marketing and because of what they're doing. But I mean, I think we said this months ago. We said this at least weeks ago when the season started, like, when I looked at their schedule, I mean, people were talking crazy about Colorado after the TCU game and after their first couple of, like, dial it back. This team was never going to win 10 games. This team was never going to win 9 games. Like, they were going to lose 5 or 6 games this year. So they've lost now, what, 3 or 4 at least, right?
They lost to USC,
Oregon.
So that's 3 at least. So, I mean, they're on course. They still got to play UCLA. They still got to play Utah, I believe. They still got to play Washington, I think. I mean, they're gonna lose more games. But something like that is, that's once in a lifetime. I think Stanford was plus 6,500 at halftime live. If you wanted to take Stanford down 29. So if you put $100 on it, you woke up the next morning, because the game didn't end until 2:00 in the morning. You woke up the next morning and you were up 6,500.
Oh my
But
God.
I don't know who actually did it. I'm sure a couple people did, but it just can't happen. It just can't happen. It did. I'm sure Dion is torturing those kids this week at practice, which rightfully so, he should be. And that's it. And I don't expect it to happen again to that magnitude, but this is a team still being built. This is not a final product of Dion's recruits. You're not going to see that for 3-4 years. That's got to take a complete recruitment cycle from freshman to senior. So there's another 3 years before you see a final polished product at the University of Colorado.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a bit. This is an undisciplined team. And you're right, Mikey, that they're in a better place, and Deion Sanders has done a lot for that, for that college and for the program. But these guys, they have no discipline. The amount of penalties and stupid mistakes. Travis Hunter cost them so bad because he couldn't control himself. It's just, there were so many different moments. I don't know how many illegal substitutions, penalties they had on defense. And it was like they're at home. It was like watching a train wreck. And I think this has been culminating for a while. They should have lost to Colorado State, as far as I'm concerned. That should have been another loss. They're just, the fact that they were ranked 19th in the country was a joke.
There's
an absolute joke, and it was overhyped. But I don't want to take anything. I do respect Deion Sanders, but he has got to get these young men into like I mentioned it before. Like, there's way too much extracurriculars going on the sidelines with the chains and the watches, and it's all a showboat, man. And they're not focused on football. And you know what? It bit them in the ass.
Joe. Now that you mentioned that, who this kind of reminds me of a little bit. What team this kind of reminds me of a little bit. This reminds me kind of when Miami football had a resurgence there a couple years ago with the turnover chain. And at first it was very new and it was cool. And I was into it. And I was like, this team's got a lot of swag going on here. Like they're out there, they're playing. And then with a team like that, when you act like that and you're that brazen and outlandish, like you don't see Alabama doing that. You don't see Ohio State doing
You think
that.
Nick Saban
you don't
would
see Michigan
condone
doing
that?
that. Like you just like, yeah, you see them take a group picture as a team when they get a turnover, but I'm talking about to that degree. You really don't see that. Georgia maybe a little bit with the spiked shoulder pads. But like when Miami was doing the turnover chain, they were getting real crazy like that. Like it only takes a couple of games where they get waxed or they get embarrassed. And it's kind of like, all right, guys, like you got to dial it back now a little bit and kind of refocus on what's most important. And that's the product you're putting out on the field and being consistent on the field, because nobody wants to see that shit if you're not going to win ball games. So you have to, if you're doing that and you're acting like that, you have to win. You can't just show up and play games close. You got to win. If you're going to be outlandish, you got to win. You got to back it up. And Colorado has had a nice season. They've gotten some nice wins, but it's going to get rockier before the season's over. And I think it's going to get uncomfortable and cringy if it continues on the way it's going, if it hasn't already.
Yeah, they're bordering on cringy. I think that's the perfect word for it, Mikey. I also think that, and what the fuck do I know? But I do think that on paper, I think they're a top 25 team. I think they're maybe 24, maybe 25. But with like Joe said, with like what Joe said, with all the extracurriculars, all, promoting the merch store at halftime, all this nonsense around the media train of Coach Prime and all that, I think they're just a little undisciplined. They're a little unruly, and it's dragging them down. They're losing games they shouldn't be losing. They're getting in dogfights with Colorado State. They never should have lost to Stanford. This is a team that's right around 24, 25, but they're playing like a top 50 team because of the way that they're acting. And quite honestly, like Mikey said, with all the antics as well, at the end of football games, when a team like Monday Night Football, when a team is down 45, 50 points, it's late in the fourth quarter and they get their first sack of the night, and the defensive player that got the sack is acting like an asshole and he's doing all this. He's doing all like he's acting like, dude, you're down 50 points. That on a much larger scale is the way that Colorado has been acting all season long. And you're losing football games. Embarrassingly, you're losing football games.
That was literally the Bear. That was literally
the
Bears. Lamar Houston, a game in New England. I forget what year it was. I would say 20 stab shot in the dark, maybe 2014 or 15. They were at New England. They got absolutely pulverized, like 42-7 or something like that. And Lamar Houston got a sack at the very end of the game, jumped up in the air, did a celebration, came down and tore his ACL. And you know what? You're an asshole. There's no sympathy there. You're a jackass.
Yeah.
You were losing the game by 5 touchdowns. Stop.
Yep.
This might be exactly what this team needs, though.
Could be
a big dose of humble pie.
Could be.
And the one thing, and then we can move on. The last thing I'll say is that it's shocking that when they do go off the rails like this, Coach Prime looks like he has no control of the sidelines. Well, he's literally like isolated, just standing there. They panned to him the one time he was yelling at one of the players. But aside from that, it's just like he's just at a loss. Like he doesn't know how to rally the team back. But when they're winning, he's everywhere and everyone's celebrating and high-fiving. And this might be exactly what that team needed.
Yeah. And even Travis Hunter on the defensive side of the ball, he was getting beat quite a lot.
Oh, a lot.
He was exposed.
That kid from Stanford, out of Standford, or what was I don't remember.
He may not be fully back, really, healthy wise, Hunter. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, because he was
playing that many snaps.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, moving on. We had an epic quarterback battle between Penix. On the other side, we had Knicks, Oregon, Washington. It was one hell of a game. Mikey, break it down for me. What'd you see?
Game lived up to the billing. Game lived up to the hype. What didn't live up to the billing was the Oregon head coach. After a great season thus far by Oregon, he made some mind-boggling decisions. I get it that twice inside the Washington 10, he opted to go for it on 4th down rather than take the points. And I guess the mentality was that Washington really couldn't be stopped. But statistically, Oregon was a top 5 defense coming into this game. I just would have put a little bit more trust in the defense. I would have thought maybe by chance you get Washington off the field. And it proved deadly because those points that he squandered by going for it on 4th down twice inside the Washington 10 would have won the game. The field goal kicker for Oregon misses a 42-yarder at the end of the game to tie it. And then the most mind-boggling decision of all, 4th and 3 from the 50 when Washington has no timeouts left. You've made them burn all the timeouts. You've done your job. Bo Nix drove the ball from deep in his own territory to midfield. Now you could punt. You could pin them inside the 20, maybe inside the 10, and make them go the length of the field. Maybe they would have anyway. But I am not going for it on 4th and 3 from the 51 after I just did all of that and made them burn all their timeouts. Horrible coaching, mind-boggling decision-making, and a shame really because the game was excellent, but Oregon had Washington on the ropes. They were on the ropes, and they let them right back in with poor decision-making, poor coaching.
Yes, it was too bad. It was the same thing. Mikey said it perfectly. The coach outcoached himself, and I actually really like Dan Lanning. I think he's a great coach. I like his demeanor, and I like what he brings to the table. But this was just overthinking. I mean, you got Bo Nix, who is a big boy. 3rd and 3, run the quarterback, get it to 4th and 1, and then sneak him if you're going to do that. Instead of dropping back and trying to throw the ball. I don't understand. The play calling was bizarre. And like you said, Mikey, if you don't go for it on 4th and 3 there and you pin them and they go and drive the length of the field with no timeouts, at least from a coaching perspective, you said there's nothing else we can do. Right. A Heisman candidate who might very well
the Heisman favorite right now. He's the Heisman favorite.
Yeah,
right
he very well may win it. Drove the field. We did everything we could. We put our defense out there. But it just shows you have no faith in your defense now moving forward. It's almost like a slap in the face to the defensive side of the ball. And then, I hated even more than that. The end of the half, you get a turnover, you go all the way down, and instead of just taking the 3 and end the half on a high note, you try to get a touchdown. And you're on the road, you're not at home. I just thought it was way too over aggressive. And I think that they should have won that game. They were in the position to win.
And maybe to add insult to injury also, talking about the coach slapping the defense in the face a little bit. The defense had just got off the field by stopping Washington at the 1-yard line 4 times. They made a goal line stand against Washington the previous possession where they stopped Washington inside the 5 4 straight plays. So the defense had a little momentum rocking. Now, yes, they got cooked, but the defense was probably shocked shitless that the coach went for it on the 50-yard line on 4th down and 3. And Joe makes an excellent point. If you know already, and I'm sure he did, premeditated that you're going to go for it if he doesn't complete that 3rd down, that you're going on 4th. I'm sure he was planning that out. You have to run on 3rd down. If you're going for it on 4th, like Joe said, you run the ball twice in that scenario. And if you can't get 3 yards and 2 tries, then shame on you. But that would have been at least a more sensible approach. I agree with Joe. Even though I don't agree with the decision, I would have at least said they did it the right way in the approach, but the approach was wrong as well.
Well, let me pose this question for you, gentlemen. I mean, Washington, pretty impressive in that game. Penix, obviously very impressive in that game. But the West Coast in general has typically gotten a bad rap as far as when it comes down to brass tacks, when you got to play the Georgias, the SEC, when you got to go to Ann Arbor or you got to go to Columbus and play football, they tend to not hold up as well. Is this Washington team out of the West Coast, are they the real deal? Can they hang with the big boys? Or when it comes down to it and they play Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, can they hang with them?
I expect Washington at this point to make the playoff. Now, Penix looked banged up at the end of that game, very banged up. So if he's hurt, that's a problem for them. They won't win anything. But I think Utah has 1 loss, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they have 1 loss to Oregon State. That's their only loss. Cam Rising coming back for Utah will be a massive boost for them. However, it may be too late because I believe Utah plays USC this weekend. And if they have to play USC without Rising again, that could be a tough game. If they lose 2 games, they're definitely out.
USC is fraudulent.
If they are, their defense is terrible, and Caleb looked really bad against a good defense on the road, really bad. But if Washington's got to play Utah with Rising in the Pac-12 championship. I think Utah has the best chance of beating Washington. Now, if Washington goes ahead and wins the Pac-12 tick, I think they can do that. So they're a contender absolutely to win their division, win their conference, and make the playoff. They're legitimate to do that. Once they have to play a Michigan or an Ohio State or a Penn State, a team that plays defense and is top defense ranked in the country, they're going to have a very, very difficult time. I think they'll have a very difficult time. I don't see any of these Pac-12 teams beating any of those type of teams. Whether it's, Florida. Now, Florida State, maybe a little bit more success against them, but I don't know. I think they
don't count out Oregon State. They play them in November. They play Washington in November 18th.
Yeah, Oregon State's a good team.
They look solid, man. DJ,
they're good.
I can never pronounce his last name. Ugalale or whatever, but he looks solid with them. They look good. I know they lost to Washington.
They run the ball very well.
But they have a great offense. I would say both of these teams are top 10. They're in their respective. They're good teams, but they're not Ohio State. They're not Michigan, and they ain't Georgia. And they just that. And Michael Penix is unbelievable, and he could score how many points, but the defenses of both of these teams they're not set up to stop teams. Like Michigan, to me, and I know they look unbelievable.
No, they're good.
Georgia looks good. Ohio State is starting to catch a stride
Penn
now.
State looks great.
Well, that's going to be.
But those top three teams, I think, personally, they blow anyone out. And then I would put Notre Dame almost in the 4th slot. They lost on a last play to Ohio State, and then the Louisville game, whatever. But to me, they looked last week. They looked back in that position.
Notre Dame,
and they could have beaten Ohio.
Well,
that's a great. You know my position on Notre Dame. I've had that position all year that I think Notre Dame's a playoff team. I also said I thought Texas was a playoff team. Now Texas, a little bit obviously is going to be lost in translation there with the Red River rivalry post that game. But Notre Dame, to me, listen, they ran a 4-game gauntlet. Okay, Ohio State at Duke, at Louisville. Duke's a good team. At Louisville was so up for that game.
Yeah.
And then against USC, that is a gauntlet. They came out 500. They almost came out 3-1. Probably should have beat Ohio State. They didn't. But Notre Dame is a very, very good football team. They play defense. They control the line of scrimmage. They got a run game, and they got a quarterback. And in college, that's the recipe for success. Notre Dame's still very good.
With 2 losses, I don't know if they'll be able to make it.
Tough. No one ever has. No one ever has.
Yeah, well, that's why I brought up the question. I mean, I wanted to move into Notre Dame, USC. USC, one of these West Coast teams that haven't been great for a long time. This is supposed to be their year to come back. A Notre Dame team that did lose to Ohio State. Tough game. They ended up losing at the very end. Whether they should have, that's up for discussion. But it was tight. It was classic Midwest or Mideast sort of East Coast football. And then look at Notre Dame goes to the West. They play a West Coast team. USC supposed to be the real deal. They kind of embarrassed Caleb Williams. They kind of embarrassed Lincoln Riley. They smoked them.
Those teams, right? Those teams are flashy. They're fast, but they just don't seem to ever be tough up front. They're just never nasty enough up front, both sides of the ball, defensive and offensive line, to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. And defensively, they just don't. It's almost like there's a mentality in the Pac-12, it seems like, where it's just like, well, we know how great our offense is, and we're just out here playing a track meet, and we're going to go for interceptions and big plays. But if it's not that, like, we're just going to give. Like, they give. They don't attack. They don't get overly aggressive, and they give up what they give up. If they could get a turnover, they'll get a turnover or a takeaway, but they're not going to play overly aggressive defense. They're not going to try and shut you out because they know they can't. So when you play teams like that are just, bigger and more physical up front, or attacking style defenses like Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, it's just a different type of football game that you got to play. And Ohio State, Penn State this Saturday is going to be.
Oh, man.
It's going to be an unbelievable football.
It's going to be the game of the year.
And I have my son's birthday party during the same time, and that's a tough pill to swallow. It sure is. But obviously, I'll be following along religiously.
Are you going to DVR it?
I'll probably have it on my phone. I'll have it live on my phone the whole time. But, if we could transition into that quickly, Ticket.
Sure.
That game number one should be a night game. It's not. It's a disgrace that it's a big noon kickoff. Fox has completely ruined Big Ten football, completely ruined it. That's a night game 10 times out of 10. It's a disgrace. Anyway, Ohio State's going to have a tough time in this game. Ohio State's offensive line is a concern to me. It's been a concern all year. They miss assignments, but Ohio State, the key to this game for them is, are they going to be able to run the football in any shape or form against Penn State? We know what they could do with Harrison. Egbuka has got to play because they need another weapon out there. I'm not worried about Kyle McCord.
That's
McCord
crazy.
I'm not worried about it.
That's
and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
He hasn't made any critical mistakes all year. He has not. He has not cost this team at all year. What has cost this team, and they haven't lost a game yet, but what has been detrimental has been the offensive line and lack of a run game. Their defense is top notch. The defense is finally back to where it needs to be. But Kyle McCord, to me, you go on the road to Notre Dame and do what he did. You're putting up the numbers he puts up. I'm not worried about Kyle McCord. I'm worried about the O-line, and I'm worried about if they can run the ball. If they can't, they're going to have a tough time because then Penn State's just going to tee off on McCord, and obviously that's going to be an issue. Ohio State's best back is this kid, Dallin Hayden. And Dallin Hayden doesn't play because Ryan Day wants to redshirt him. And he could only play in 4 games in college. If you play in more, you get redshirted. All right. If you play in more, you can't get redshirted. So you got to play in 4 games or less. I don't care. This is a national championship hunt season. You have to play your best player. He's their best back. Travion Henderson, home run hitter, great guy, great player, but he's hurt all the time and his vision stinks. That's the bottom line. He can hit a home run.
Pretty good, Mikey.
He can. This kid, Dallin Hayden, is a special back. He needs to play. I want to see him play. You cannot play this game that you want to save him to redshirt. You're contending for a national title. Ohio State, defensively, Drew Aller, we know it's going to be the Drew Aller show. Can you contain him? Can you slow him down? I'm glad the game's in Columbus. I still think 4.5 points is too much. It opened at 5, which I thought was way too much. I think this should be a 3-point spread. Ohio State should be favored by 3. I think 4.5 is too many points. I do. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited for it. Michigan still hasn't played anyone with a pulse yet.
Well, they do play. They play Penn State later in the season.
No, they do, but they haven't played anyone
up to this
yet.
point.
They've played nobody. Yeah. So I want to see now their final 3 games. Michigan is Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. Those are 3 legitimate games. That's tough. But Ohio State, I mean, it's still got to go on the road at night at Wisconsin. And I understand Wisconsin's not great, but Camp Randall at night is an insane environment to play in.
Right.
So they still got that. They still got to go to Rutgers. Rutgers is a decent team this year. They're not a doormat team anymore. They're beating Michigan State. They're beating Northwestern. They're beating Purdue. They're winning games in the Big Ten this year. Rutgers.
Yeah.
So they're not a cake.
You guys have had a much tougher schedule, I would say.
Well,
our schedule has been
but you want your tougher schedule earlier in the season.
100%,
because you get the rest of the season to redeem yourself. Recency bias has banged many teams in the past, and it might bang Michigan if they lose one of those games at the end of the season.
We have 3 critical games left. The Penn State game this week, at Wisconsin at night, and then Michigan. Of course the big one in Ann Arbor. Yeah, and it's going to be. I mean, listen, I'm just
think you guys are gonna. There's no way you guys lose 3 straight years.
I mean, there's easily a way. I mean, I think Michigan, if Michigan can do this again, Michigan, Penn State will tell me everything I need to know about Michigan. Michigan at Penn State will tell me everything I need to know about Michigan. When that game finally happens, November the 11th, they play at Penn State. I'm sure.
It's got it marked down.
Well, that's a noon. I mean, that's going to be a massive game. It's a massive game. Yeah. That's a big noon kickoff as well. Disgrace.
Which is
a whiteout game. It should be a whiteout game. That's what I mean. Fox is ruining Big Ten football.
This was my prop. This is the reason I was going to skip Penn State, Ohio State. This was my problem of the week, is the way that Big Ten football just keeps getting absolutely railed. In my opinion, I think this is the game of the year. Maybe Ohio State, Michigan as well.
Wow.
I think this is going to be one of the greatest games of all. Penn State finally is back, and that is a rivalry. That's a huge rivalry, but people have forgotten about it. And Michigan has been
it's
good.
a big rivalry for Penn State. It's a big rivalry.
It's a rivalry for Ohio State too, but it's just been
it's
so
not
great.
right.
It
But
was.
Penn
It's not
State,
Michigan.
Penn State puts this game on the plateau that Ohio State puts Michigan on.
But back in the day, so did
sense.
Ohio State. But Penn State's been so mediocre for the last 20 years that they've forgotten about that. They've had some okay teams, but nothing that was ever going to go to the national championship game.
They made the playoff.
Yeah, but they were never going to go and beat and win the whole damn thing. So I just think it's a rivalry that's sort of gone by the wayside while Penn State hasn't been that great and Ohio State has run the gambit for quite some time. I think this is the game of the year. One of them, top three. It might be Michigan, Ohio State, but the fact that it is a noon game is unbelievable. When you take two of the greatest stadiums there is, two of the greatest fan bases in college, and you're sticking them at noon in the biggest game of their year, that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. And it just goes to show the way that the NCAAF, the way they value Big Ten football right now. And they don't compare.
It's all SEC, man.
It's all SEC, and it's all
because that's what's making them that's what's making the most money.
And it's a disgrace because it's banging the fans. They're banging the fans because of it. All right, Mikey, anything else to add? Either of you guys, anything else to add before we move on?
No, I think I said Penn State made the playoff, but I don't think they have. The controversial year was the year they won the Big Ten title, but they had 2 losses and Ohio State got put in over them, even though they lost to Penn State because they only had the 1 loss.
I think Penn State had a bad loss to Iowa.
They had a really bad loss. They had a really bad loss. I think it was to Iowa State. It wasn't even Iowa. I think it was Iowa State. And that
the Cyclones have had their number for a long time.
Yes. That might have been. I think Purdy was the quarterback back then.
I think you're right.
Really?
I think you're right. I think you're right.
The Brock star.
Well, he let me down this week. Not that I had a chance in winning fantasy anyway. Not that I had a chance, but he let me down. All right, boys. Before we move on to NFL, let's quickly touch on MLB playoffs, and more specifically, let's touch on the Phillies. Not because I'm a Philadelphia fan, but because I don't think anyone would argue that this is the most. This is one of the most exciting teams. It might be the most exciting team in sports right now, to be honest. This very moment, it is. Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler, Schwarber, this is an exciting
Castellanos.
team. Trey Turner woke up. I mean, this is what do you I mean, Mikey?
We were saying this to you early on, weeks and weeks ago. I was saying this team has the lineup to do damage, and you were just like, but Joey D, and even with
Joey D, the thing is, baseball is about getting hot at the right time. That's whole sport is getting hot at the right time. I said at the beginning of the year, on paper, this is the best lineup there is. The pitching, a little bit suspect, especially in the bullpen. But my only concern with the Phillies was they hadn't shown me any signs of getting hot, and they did, so I was wrong. But I wasn't excited because it's all about who's hot. And for a while there, it looked like the Braves were unbeatable.
No one's hotter than Bryce Harper.
Yeah, no one's hotter than him.
That was going to be my problem of the week, and it's a good problem because the guy is not only is he just outer worldly good right now, but he is so embodying the city of Philadelphia and taking it in, and he is Philadelphia Phillies baseball right now. And it's hard to I'm not even a Phillies fan, but you watch him give his interviews and post game, how passionate he is and how he talks about how this is the team that he's thrilled to go to the stadium every night. He is literally, and I know that you weren't a big fan of his for a little bit, when he first came to the team, but you got to be thrilled with what you've seen out of this guy, because he is absolutely leading you guys in every way he can possibly.
The atmosphere in Philadelphia is unlike anything I've seen in a long time in any sport. It's a fever pitch atmosphere in Philadelphia right now. The players went to the fucking Xfinity bar after they finished off the Braves. The players went there to celebrate with their fans at a bar.
Yeah,
there is a different type of feel to what's happening in Philadelphia right now. Now, that being said, I have a bad feeling about tonight. I just have a bad. I don't know why. It's just the way that game ended last night. I hope I'm wrong, but I'll say this: series-wise, I think the Phillies are going to win the whole thing. I put a future bet on the Phillies to win the whole thing.
The Diamondbacks are good, man. This Corbin Carroll is one of the better rookies.
Corbin Carroll's very good.
I looked into the eyes of Bryce Harper and Castellanos after they got interviewed post-game respectfully after a couple of those games against the Braves. And these guys are locked the fuck in. They don't give a shit about winning the NLDS. They don't give a shit about winning the division, making the playoffs. They want to win the whole thing. It's painfully obvious. And I'm not saying other teams don't, but it's almost like it is strictly business for them, right? This is like they're enjoying the ride. They're having a great time, no doubt about it. But to me, it looks like they are so laser focused on just winning at all costs, doing whatever you got to do, scratching and clawing. And they are the most fun thing in sports right now to watch. They really are. They are the most fun thing to watch in sports right now. Last night was great. I was extremely concerned because I had the Phillies on the run line. I had a -1.5 last night. I got very concerned because they went ice cold after they scored that 5th run. They were done. They stopped scoring runs, a couple mishaps on the base paths. And then your one reliever ticket airmailed the ball past the second baseman.
Yep.
I almost had a fucking heart attack.
Yep.
Craig Kimbrell comes in, and
Kimbrell's unbelievable.
I get very concerned about Kimbrell.
I hate him.
I get worried. Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah.
This
I hate that so much.
Thing.
I hate that.
But he's good. He's been doing it for a long time.
There was no bigger Craig Kimbrell fan than me when he got the 3rd out last night. No, I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic. So, I mean, listen, it capped a magical evening last night. We had a nice 3-leg parlay for the only subs last night.
Good,
plus 640. It was great. And the final game, really, because I had the Dallas under, and that was basically cashed in by the 4th quarter. But that Phillies game was the one live thing that was like, okay, this could go south very quickly. They closed it out. And I mean, I don't know if good teams win, great teams cover counts in baseball, but if it does, then the Phillies are indeed a great team because they covered a run line as a dog last night, -1.5. Hats off to them. Funnest team in sports right now, the Philadelphia Phillies.
On the other side, though, I will say the Texas Rangers,
they're hot too.
Giving them, I think they've won 6 straight away road games.
They're hot.
They're hot on the AL.
Fuck Max Scherzer though. That's my
but
thing.
I'm saying on the American.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, just you know why? Because he came to New York, he didn't do a goddamn thing with the Mets, cried like a baby, went back to the Rangers, hasn't done a goddamn thing with the Rangers, and he's popping bottles of champagne. He's a fucking hired mercenary arm. He hasn't done dick. Like he has not done dick for them.
It's a Hall of Famer. He's earned it. He's earned it. He's earned it. He's earned it.
Yeah,
he's a problem for me. Max Scherzer's a big problem.
I love Max Scherzer. I don't know why.
Well, then you like him. I mean,
he used to play for the Tigers. When he played for the Tigers back in the day, he was a lot of fun to watch. But then he went to DC and kind of became a little bit of a prick. I do remember he pitched a complete game. It was almost a no-hitter. The moments before his wife, he rushed after the game from his complete game to go see his wife give birth and be there with them. That was pretty cool. I don't know. I just like him, but you're right. He did dick for the Mets. Not that the Mets were fucking going anywhere anyway. That whole team was a fucking travesty. But yeah, I don't know. Regardless, it's 2 hot teams on a beeline to fucking play each other in the World Series, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Imagine the Rangers still had DeGrom and he was healthy. My God.
I know.
Because Evaldi looks freaking good too.
DeGrom is Deebo Samuel in baseball. You look at him and he's injured. All of a sudden he's injured. So, but anyway, talking about football, let's move over. Let's pivot. Philly's got to watch out for that bullpen. That's the last thing I'll say. The bullpen is a bit of a liability. All right, let's move on to we'll recap a few games from last week, and then we'll move into our projections for next week and our picks. But let's start. I mean, I was going to save it for the end, but I think we did it on the end last time. Let's just start with the Eagles. Let's just start with the Eagles and the Jets. And to be honest, I think a lot of people think I have a lot to say. I don't have a lot to say. So I'll kick Eagles, Jets. I'll kick it over to Joseph. What'd you see there, Joe?
Listen, the Jets have a lot of heart, man. And I tell you what, if this team, and we talked about a ticket, if this team had Aaron Rodgers healthy, I can't imagine who would beat this team because Breece Hall is, and we say it every week, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson is a top talent at wide receiver. And this defense, man, they just have a way of just never, ever giving up. I think Saleh is a great coach. And I tell you what, man, I know it was a tough loss for you guys, but you look, they beat the Bills. And they did it all with no Rodgers, because Rodgers essentially played one series of snaps, not even. They beat the Bills. They easily could have beaten the Chiefs. They got banged on a terrible call, but they were stride for stride with the Chiefs. And then they went and beat the Eagles. I'm telling you right now, this team, on paper, you're like, oh my God, what a disappointing loss. But this team is no joke. And if Rodgers does come back, I mean, he's throwing the football now on the field. I mean, who knows? They are a team to be reckoned with. And I know it's a disappointing loss for you guys, but listen, this team's not a joke. I think the most disappointing thing about the Eagles is just that they got off to a hot start, and it's like they just kind of put it in cruise control, and then they just let the game slowly unravel.
The Jets defense made adjustments. And this is what I've been saying all season long about the Eagles, is this was the first good defense they played. And I've been telling you guys, Jalen Hurts don't look right. Jalen Hurts don't look right. And one day it will be a problem because he does not look right. And we finally face a good defense. And what happens? He's exposed. They came out hot, as they always do. They come out in the first quarter. They look explosive. Defenses then adjust, and we can't score anymore. We can't score anymore because the offense, as good on paper as it is, as good as Jalen Hurts and all the guys are, there's a problem there. And they were finally exposed by a good defense. And this is the problem that I've been talking about all season long. And this is why I have worries when it comes to winning a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the short and long of it. Mikey?
Better to lose now, Ticket, than to lose when it matters in the playoffs.
Yeah, we just got to figure it out. We got to figure they have all the tools to figure it out. They just have to figure it out. And it doesn't look right now like they are.
If there's a
silver lining,
a loss that could be a good loss, I think this is a good loss for the Eagles. I mean, if you could twist it into that, I think, getting the monkey off your back, you were never going to go undefeated. So, you get that monkey off your back. You got the taste of the loss here. They have to reevaluate what they're doing with Jalen Hurts and what they exactly expect from Jalen Hurts. You have a back in DeAndre Swift, who to me looks like one of the best backs in the league this year. Utilize him more, take more pressure off of Jalen Hurts, play to Jalen Hurts' strengths, which he has many. He is a talented player and athlete. They have super studs at wide receiver. Devontae Smith needs to catch the ball first and foremost. He can't have drops like that. That's I'm going to just count that as a mulligan. That ain't going to. Dallas Goedert is a top 5 tight end in the league, in my opinion. Where is he? Last year, he was catching 5-6 balls a game. Get Dallas Goedert more involved in this offense. Go back to the bread and butter and what worked last year. Stop trying to change things when it doesn't need to be changed. I understand you have to game plan, and you're on tape, and there's a lot more of what you did last year is all on tape and on film, and teams adjust accordingly. I get that, but let's go back to the basics if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, because man for man, if you go back to just the basics, line up and beat the shit out of the other guy in front of you. There's not many teams that could line up with the Eagles man for man and be better than them. There's very little across that offensive line. Those wide receivers, that tight end, that running back, and that quarterback. Just go back to the basics, because man on man, you're probably better than 90% of the other teams in the league, man for man, on offense. So get back to the basics. Defensively, you get some of your guys back. Jalen Carter didn't play. Who else didn't play? Tick, you had a couple guys on defense missing, didn't you?
Yeah, and we lost Lane Johnson in the game too.
Is he gone for a long extended period of time?
He's going to be gone for at least next week. Ankle? High ankle. It's going to be at least a week, probably
right,
2 or
but he's
probably
not,
2 or 3.
It's not a season ender though, so it's not a season ender.
He's huge.
No, he is. He is, but
on the team forever.
Nobody's rolling with their starting 5 offensive line.
No,
that's true. Season.
That's
Very
true.
Few. So
that's true.
So that's not a problem. I don't think as long as it's not long term. Just again, man for man, keep it simple. Go back to basics. You're pound for pound better than most teams in the league personnel wise, and I think the Eagles will be fine. Now, big game this week, huge game against the Dolphins. Huge game. Going to be interesting. Expect a lot of points. I expect a lot of. What's the over under on that game, Ticket? If you have it, when you have it, because the Dolphins cannot stop a nosebleed. The Dolphins cannot stop anybody.
52.
Their defense is, oh my God. Oh my God. That my play of the week. My play of the week, and I know I haven't hit in a couple of weeks. I'm sorry, but give me the over 52 in Philly, Miami. Philly will move the ball on the Dolphins like a hot knife through butter. If the Philadelphia Eagles don't score at least 28 points on this Miami defense, then I would seriously say, Ticket, that something is really wrong, because Miami cannot stop anyone. Now, on the flip side, Miami's going to score too. Miami's going to score because they just have track stars everywhere on the field.
And our secondary is a mess too. And
I don't think Mostert is going to have a day like he did this week, because that Philly run defense is a good run defense. So I don't think that's going to happen necessarily.
Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah, Tyreek and Waddle are going to wreak havoc. I mean, that's just what they do. But the Eagles have to score in this game. So yeah, that's going to be my play of the week. Give me the Eagles, Dolphins over 50.
Dick, you guys just signed Julio Jones too. That's not a bad little
sign. We needed someone to hold the water, so we got him involved.
He's dead.
You think he's
absolutely he's cooked?
I bet you he makes a big play in the next couple
weeks. He's fricasseed. He's not even cooked. He's fricasseed. He's done.
We have a receiver who's actually a really good receiver. His name's Quez Watkins. That we seem to. He's another guy that we can't seem to get involved for whatever.
He played well
reason.
last year.
Yeah, he's great. Well, he's a great player, but Jalen Hurts cannot find him this year, the same way that he cannot find Dallas Goedert. And he's a better player than Julio Jones right now. And I don't know where Julio Jones fits. I have no idea what we're going to do. Is he going to be a decoy? What defense is going to fall for that? The tread on the tires they're gone. They're absolutely gone. So that'll be interesting. But
Julio's cooked, bro.
He's cooked. He's cooked.
I don't know why they did it. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe a little locker room help. He could be a locker room guy. No question about that. It could be a locker room guy. A lot of drama with AJ this year on the field would give me the ball. But by the way, the guy just fucking posted 125 plus yard games. First guy since Calvin Johnson to do that. Yes. So yeah, I get the ball to AJ Brown a lot too. And he is on one of my fantasy teams. So continue to feed that young man. He deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to close it up, I just think it's everything I've been saying, man. There's something wrong with that offense. Doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. I'm just not seeing any steps. I'm not seeing any steps taking in the right direction to fix it. And
still 5-1, and that still very early.
That goes to Nick Sirianni, which I've been saying from the beginning of the season. I think he lacks leadership. I think he lacks how to run an entire organization. I think he's way in over his head.
Yeah, I don't like Sirianni.
Yeah, and we're not getting better because of him, because we don't have a real coach.
Jalen Hurts needs to assert himself as the unquestioned. There's certain quarterbacks in this league through the history of time that could transcend the head coaching position because they're such a strong personality. We've seen Rodgers do it. We've seen Brady do it. There's been guys who have done it. Jalen Hurts could do the same thing. I'm not saying he's Rodgers. I'm not saying he's Brady, but I'm saying he's got that alpha mentality. He needs to just assert himself as the quintessential leader of that team and let him run with it. He did it last year. I saw him shut up the head coach. I saw him do it. I saw him tell his head coach, hey, you stop, shut the fuck up. More of that from Jalen Hurts. You could do it, young man.
Yeah, I think he's at a fork in the road. And I think part of why he's doing a little bit less of that is, well, he got paid. Maybe it means a little bit less to him. I don't like to think that, but
I don't know, man.
I'm just saying.
I don't know if he's like that, dude. I don't think he's like that.
I'm posing questions. I'm not saying he's like that either.
I saw his look on the sideline. He looked like he was legit fucking like upset. So I like that. If I'm a fan, I like that.
And if I'm the GM, if I'm Howie, I'm going past Sirianni and I'm telling him that to his face. You got to step up.
I like that too. Yep.
Anyway, moving on. We got a few other games we want to get to before we get to next week's preview. Let's hop to the Bears Vikings. I mean, as abysmal as it seemed at times, the Bears still only lost by 6 points. They still only lost by 6 points, Mikey. They still only lost by 6 points.
They almost came back and won.
They almost came back and won.
Please, guys. Please. Guys, it's over.
Did they not have a ball driving down the field down less than a touchdown?
Tyson Bagent. I want to see him for the rest of the year. I want to see what he's made of. Yeah, because Fields is hurt now and the thumb, and they just signed Trace McSorley to the practice squad today,
Right.
which tells me that Fields' injury is going to be long-term. He's going to have to get surgery. That's what it tells me. I could be wrong, and you won't find out because these people are not transparent. They're scumbags, the people in the Bears organization. But the Bears, again, the issue with the Bears yet again is, no pass rush whatsoever. No pass rush whatsoever. The pass rush you saw against the Commanders was a mirage because the Commanders are the worst team in pass pro in the entire league. That was a mirage. So people who expected them, Cousins had all day back there. He still stunk it up. He's so fucking terrible. He didn't have Justin Jefferson, and they still couldn't get it done. They didn't have any of their running backs. I understand and appreciate that, but Deontay Foreman didn't look terrible carrying the ball.
No.
Justin Fields looked terrible in the first half. There's no getting around it anymore. The guy holds the ball too long. Yes, the offensive line stinks. I fully get and appreciate that. But this guy is holding the ball. He's dancing in the pocket. He's missing open guys.
Yeah.
It is over. It is over. It is over. He is wildly inconsistent. Yes, you will have a week or two where he puts up numbers and it looks like he's the next coming of Christ, but it's over. The experiment with him in Chicago is over, much to the fault of the Bears organization because they are miserable failures when it comes to trying to develop a young quarterback. They never have. They may never. It's true. They've never developed a young quarterback ever. They've never done it. The only thing that works for the Bears is bringing somebody in that has some type of experience already, Cutler, and even he was a 500 guy. But the experiment with Justin Fields is over. I hope I see Tyson Bagent for that's my thing. If Fields is going to be out, I don't want to hear the words Nathan Peterman. I don't want to fucking hear the words. I don't want to hear
He's
the
worst
words
of
Nathan
all time.
Peterman.
He's the worst ever.
And he's on our roster, so that makes a lot of sense. Well, because he's on our roster. So we'll pay the guy $1 million, whatever he's making. I'm sure he's making a couple million. I'm sure he is. I could make a couple million for the Bears, and I could do a better. At least I'd give some heart. I'd give some heart out there. But no, the Bears, it's over. It's done. They play the Raiders this week. That's, the Raiders are going to beat them. And then, that's it. It's over for them. We still have the number 1 and 2 overall pick in the draft. So that's exciting. When the season's over, I could get into that a little bit.
It's Caleb Williams for you guys. Is that the...
Yeah, I would imagine though. I would imagine they keep the 1 pick if they end up with 1 and 2. I would imagine they keep the 1, try and flip the 2 to somebody that's going to draft Drake May. They don't fall out of the top 5. They stay close enough where they could hopefully still get Marvin Harrison in addition to Caleb Williams. And that would be a really nice start for them, a new building block.
So, you guys can just ruin another quarterback.
They'll ruin Caleb Williams as well, but it'll be a really fun first off season. And then you'll see the product on the field, and we'll be back to square one in 2 years.
I don't think we need to say anything else.
I don't think so.
Summed up beautifully. I think it was summed up beautifully. Let's keep it rolling.
Packers were on a bye. We could just
roll right into I think we got to talk about the 49ers quickly.
Yep.
We had discussed collectively this game and how it looked like at 5.5. Are you all right, Tick?
I'm just laughing at the Bears thing. We're just like, I think he said enough. I think it was just funny.
I don't think there's anything
else
to
agree with
say,
you. I just think
they're
just going to draft another quarterback and ruin him.
Ruin him. If anybody could ruin Caleb Williams, it's the Chicago Bears.
The Bears. All right, 49ers Browns. Joey D.
We talked about this game going in with our picks last week, and I think I said I think I ended up taking the Niners to cover, but I did say that they were in a position at some point where everybody was going to bet on the Niners because of how good and how dominant they looked, and they were due for a slip up. That happened this week. The Browns, without Deshaun Watson, who would have thought, end up beating the Niners. And Tick, this is why I wouldn't put too much weight on the Eagles' loss, and not to say that your concerns aren't valid. I would state that is fair, but football, it's an any given Sunday kind of thing. Bills almost just lost to the Giants without Daniel Jones. So
Tyrod Taylor may be better if he's healthy than Daniel Jones.
Maybe he is. Yeah, but my point is that any given Sunday, when you are one of the top teams in the NFL and other teams are scheduled against you, they are circling their schedules. They are prepped. They are ready to come out firing. And I think that's what you saw this week. Obviously, McCaffrey went out. Debo went out. Debo, man, this guy's dead to me on my fantasy team. He's the first week he looked like the prodigy. The next week he gets hurt. He's out. Then he comes into play and he doesn't take one reception and doesn't see it. Then he's playing and he hits one carry and he's out. It's like, I don't know what to do with this guy.
Trent Williams got banged up too. And by the way, Trent Williams got beat like a drum on Sunday by Myles Garrett. And you never see Trent Williams get beat like that by anybody. 31% of pass rush success against Trent Williams, the highest percentage of pressures he's ever allowed to anybody in his entire Hall of Fame career, speaks volumes to the alien that is Myles Garrett. The Browns have nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. It's nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. If that defense shows up and plays, they're a top unit in the league. They're a top 5 unit in the league if they show up and play. It's just that they've had a couple hiccups this season. But if they show up and they're at their best, they're as good as anybody. They're as good as anybody.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'll tell you what, too. Obviously, he made a few mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions. He almost threw the game away on was it 3rd down or 4th down? He almost threw an interception in the end zone when he did not need to make that pass. But that was a few mistakes. Over the course of the whole game, I thought PJ Walker looked pretty good. I thought he looked like a pretty decent. I thought he looked better than Deshaun has when he's been in. He's been good he's a good backup. He's done well.
Kareem Hunt looked good
and
too.
Kareem Hunt, them bringing him back was good. But Brock Purdy, man, I get that he lost a few of his weapons, but boy, did he get exposed if he doesn't have some of the best talent on the field with him. I still like him. I still think he's going to have a nice career. But man, when you take away.
When did his job to win that game.
The kicker missed 2 field goals.
He did his job. He did his job.
Game.
That's exactly right. But man, when you take some of that premier talent away from him, he looks about middle of the road as it is. Interesting game, man. Browns, wow, on the road. Didn't someone here take them, Mikey? Didn't you take the Browns?
I took San Francisco.
I was going to take the Browns, and I said, you know what? I think at the last second, I flipped over and I said, I'll take the Niners if I lose it. But I did say. Yeah, I did say that they were in a position where at some point they were going to have a let-up game.
Yeah. Yep. All right, boys, let's move on to the next week, week 7. Let's start with the Thursday night game. We've got Jags heading to New Orleans. New Orleans is a 1-point favorite, basically a pick 'em. Joey D, who do you like there?
Now, I don't know if
Trevor.
I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. He said he's going to try.
He's going to play.
If Trevor Lawrence plays and is healthy, I love the Jags here. I think New Orleans,
they're dead to me.
New Orleans are so much like, we want to keep giving them an opportunity. Derek Carr stinks. I'm sorry. There's a difference between sucking and stinking. He stinks. He misses throws consistently. He doesn't know how to get rid of the ball. He gets sacked all the time. The Jags, to me, are a much better team. Now, I would actually even go as far as taking this as my game of the week, but I don't know how healthy Trevor Lawrence is. So I'll just take the Jags and I'll be on my merry way. But I will tell you this, the Jags are getting points. They will win this game.
Mikey?
Yeah, I think the Jaguars, if Lawrence is healthy, the Jaguars are starting to heat up. I think they're starting to heat up. It started with the win against the Bills. It started the week before when they won the game before, but now it looks like the offense is starting to heat up, and Lawrence is playing at the level I expected him to be playing at this season, and hopefully that continues to elevate. But yeah, I just hope this isn't going to be a lingering thing with his knee. I hope he's healthy. He plays. Give me Jacksonville.
Yeah, the Saints have banged me for the very, very, very last time. And I'm not even talking just this season. I think maybe for life. I'm sick of them, man. This defense that everyone keeps talking about, that they're supposed to show up, they just keep not showing up. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. It's embarrassing. Jags are I wouldn't say they're a great team. They're a good team. They're upper tier team. They'll probably be a wild card somewhere along the way here, or maybe they'll even win their division. Who knows?
They
But
could make
they're
a
good
they
team.
could make a run. They could make
Yeah,
a run.
they're a
could
good
make
team,
run.
especially when Trevor's healthy. It's
Yes.
I love him so. I mean, I don't love him, but I think that he's got all the talent in the world, and I just feel like he should be throwing more touchdowns, and he's just not. But he's won 4 games.
I think it's coming.
They're 4-2.
I do think I think it's coming. I really do. I think they're about to really start hitting stride.
They
Maybe
looked
that
solid
really,
last week.
They did.
I would
They
not be surprised if they blow New Orleans out.
I'm telling you, New Orleans is favored.
Well, they're at home, and with the Lawrence
one
up in the
point.
air,
It's basically
that's why it's
If
why
Lawrence is healthy, this isn't even a contest.
It's 39.5 points. I almost feel like the Jags are going to score 35 on that defense alone. That defense is nasty. All right. Moving on. I'm going to take the Jags too, if that wasn't obvious. Moving on. The Steelers are heading to Los Angeles. Rams are a 3-point favorite. Mikey, who do you got?
Yeah, Tomlin coming off the bye week, Rams team that still underwhelms me completely. I think Matt Stafford is cooked. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Unbelievable.
Give me I know. But in all seriousness, Tomlin coming off the bye, Steelers 2 weeks to prepare, dinged up guys healthy now. I just think the Steelers are going to pound them. I think the Steelers are going to pound them. Give me the Steelers as a doggy money line. I don't want the points.
Wow.
Give me them outright.
Okay. Joey D?
I'm going to go the other way. I actually think that the Rams I'm not
Rams don't have any running backs, by the way.
Yeah, Kyron.
But the thing is,
Kyron's going to play. He'll play.
Is he? I thought he was out.
Is he confirmed out?
I think
he's out.
Yeah, he's one of my bright spots on my fantasy team.
I would say that the reason why I'm going to go with the Rams here is cross country travel. I know that obviously Pittsburgh's came off a bye, but here's my thing is I love Kenny Pickett, and he's a friend of the pod, and I love him, but he is going to get eaten alive by Aaron Donald in that front. I think he's going to make some mistakes, and I think honestly, I don't think the Steelers defense is going to be able to stop Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua.
Stafford's going to throw 3 interceptions on Sunday.
I'm going to go with the Rams
unreal,
on this.
man. The disrespect.
I'm going with the Rams.
I'm
going to go with the Rams here. I think 3 points is. I think it could be a push. I think 3 points is a pretty solid line. I'll go with the Rams on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams. The Steelers there's something very wrong with that Steelers offense, man.
Offense is a problem.
Najee Harris is one of the least explosive players.
Jalen Warren's good, man.
Jalen Warren is a good player. The fact that he's not the outright starter,
he will be.
He better be, man. It's unreal.
He will be.
The Rams are a good team, man. They're at home. They're not a great team.
They're solid. They're
team.
solid.
They're a team that you should be afraid to face, especially when you're playing in LA.
Get the fuck out of here! Afraid to face what? Stafford's 100 years old, Tick.
Because people are going to try and sleep on them. It's the same thing that the Cowboys did to the Cardinals. People are going to sleep, come into Los Angeles to play the Rams. And you shouldn't do that. You really should, especially if Kyron Williams is healthy. But without
a legitimate, some sort of guy who could run the football, they're down to literally like their 4th string guy. Ronnie Rivers is hurt. All these guys are. Without that, I just think Pittsburgh is going to tee off. They are going to get after him, and we know what happens.
You think that
Stafford
offense has the ability to tee off?
I think Stafford. I think Stafford may throw 2 pick sixes.
So you're talking pick sixes, not just pick sixes.
No, he thinks.
I'm not saying he's going to throw 3 pick sixes, but I bet you he throws 1 and 3 interceptions, 1 pick six.
I mean, even before he was washed,
or a strip 6.
Even before he was washed, interceptions were always his Achilles heel. Yeah, I mean, this Steelers offense stinks. Give me the Rams. But Tomlin off the bye. You are right. I mean, I'm sure he's going to have those boys ready. It could be a good game, but give me the Rams. All right, we got the Dolphins heading to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 2-point favorite at home. Joey D, who do you like there?
That's tough.
Give me the Eagles, Tick.
Whoa! Okay, I like that.
Give me the old Eagles, man.
Right.
I think they bounce back after a bad loss. I think that Hurts has a good game this week. I really do. I think Mikey's point is fair. I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest. But I do like the Eagles to bounce back at home. Now, if this game was in Miami, I would probably maybe go the other direction. But I do think in front of the home fans after a tough loss against the Jets and maybe makes them wake up, I like the Eagles to cover here. I think they win by a field goal or more.
Mikey?
Yeah, I think the Eagles to me are right now are the more complete team than the Miami Dolphins. To me, they are. The Dolphins are very nice to watch on offense. They're a lot of fun to watch, but they beat up on some bad teams. They beat up on New England, bad team. They beat up on Denver. They massacred Denver, bad team. They just beat up on Carolina, bad
They started
team.
down 14 points. They
did.
You give a slow starting against like that to the Eagles.
They allow points. Give me the Eagles with the points. And I just think that the Eagles, but the play here for me is the over. But I do think Eagles cover too. I do.
Is your play of the week actually? Is it going to be the over?
The over, yeah.
Is that your play of the week?
That's correct.
All right. I'm going to take the Dolphins. I am, man.
You are unbelievable.
I am, man. Mikey, you just talked about how their wins are against crap teams and they obliterated them. The only wins the Eagles have are against bad teams, and they didn't obliterate them. They got into dog fights. They just got exposed. Jalen Hurts looks wrong. And the weak secondary of even if everything's firing on all cylinders and the Eagles figure everything out, they still are left with a somewhat weak secondary. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, I think they're going to decimate the Eagles secondary. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think Mikey's right on it. I think they're going to blow over on over 52. But for the game, I mean, give me Dolphins plus the 2. I think they're going to score a lot of fucking points. They're going to score 40, 45 points.
Holy shit.
They are. It's going to happen, especially if Jalen Carter doesn't play again. Eagles are also going to be missing.
No, that's a massive.
Eagles are going to be missing Lane Johnson. We're going to be missing a few pieces, and they're just not. They're not right. This is the loss that's going to rattle the ship for a little while, and the Dolphins are going to expose that, and they're going to win. Moving on. God, that just made me sad. Raiders heading to Chicago, going to Soldier Field. Raiders are a 3-point favorite in Chicago. Mikey V, start us off here.
Yeah, Raiders.
Raiders. All right, Joey D.
I'll jump on the Raiders train. Give me the Raiders.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if Garoppolo plays or not, huh? Give me the Raiders.
Yeah, Badgett.
No, because the Fields ain't playing, so it's Badgett may be better.
Where did Badgett go to school? Where did he go?
He's a Division II guy. He set like every passing record in Division II history. So he's a Division II stud. No question about that.
Oh,
but this is the NFL. That's
sure is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Max Crosby's going to destroy that guy. You might Trace McSorley might need to come in, and he's he's no better.
That's actually one thing of that game that I'll give you something. If you want to watch that game, which I don't know why in the world you ever would, unless you're a Raiders or a Bears fan, watch Max Crosby against rookie right tackle Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright's been very good so far this year. Very good. One of the bright spots on a otherwise abysmal shitbag team. Darnell Wright looks like he could be the starting right tackle of this franchise for the next 10 years. Watch Max Crosby against him. I'm very curious. Max Crosby's going to beat him because Max Crosby's an elite player. But that's a nice matchup to watch if you're a football guy. I would watch that.
Max Crosby just buried my soul on Sunday.
Oh, yeah,
I had the Patriots.
Yeah, with the 3. Yeah, he buried a lot of
the fact that Mac Jones allowed a sack to lose me in a meaningless. The game was over. It was one of the. I heard
he specifically allowed that because he knew you had them.
Poor Nicole had to sit on the couch while I stood up and screamed at my television.
That's every week at my house, Joe. She should get used to it.
Oh,
my wife has seen me do much worse than that.
I threw a shit. Listen, I'm okay losing games, but that was such a tough loss. And he almost got sacked the play before for a safety, and they had to blow the whistle because of a penalty. and it saved me. And I looked at Nicole, I said, he's going to either throw a pick six right now, or he's going to get a sack for a safety, and it happened. And I threw a fit.
When the Bears lost on the double doink to the Eagles, I almost broke my kitchen counter. I almost put my fist through the kitchen counter. My wife was legitimately like, "Yo, are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "No, fuck this." That's all.
I heard you. I heard at the Smigs house, the Ohio State Notre Dame game, I heard you were quite out of control.
He was, I would say animated would be.
I wasn't out of
animated.
control. Like, I wasn't going to damage any of their property. Like,
no, not like that.
I gave
obnoxious.
Obnoxious. Yeah, Bob is going to say I was obnoxious. I don't give a fuck what Bob says about how I watch football. I watch football the way I watch football. He could get obnoxious about fucking waffles and eggs and whatever the fuck he gets obnoxious about. Like a fucking weirdo. But here's the thing. I gave fair warning. I gave fair warning cuts. Did I not? I said, first of all, we should have been at that game. We should have been at that fucking game. Now, the Smigses were such gracious hosts. They did an incredible job. Incredible.
It was
but I gave warning. I said, guys, look, I said to Bob, I said, look, I said, this isn't the type of game that I would watch in public because I know how I get with Ohio State. Now, the Bears, I don't get like that with because they never play in meaningful games because they always stink.
Right.
But Ohio State constantly plays in very, very big, stressful games. That's why I really don't go out in public. Like for the playoff game, I was home. I was in my own home. Now, granted, I had people over. It was New Year's Eve, but I was in the sanctity of my castle. I am a different person when Ohio State is in a big game. I'm a dog. I'm a dog in that situation. Like I revert back to animalistic tendencies. I'm like a wild animal. I'm like a wild animal. I would state
he was animated. That would be the word that I would use.
You know, first of all, everybody and their mother was rooting for fucking Notre Dame. Everybody and their mother was rooting for Notre Dame.
Well, it's because they had a bet on it, not because they like Notre Dame.
I had a bet on it too. And guess what?
Guess
what? I had Notre Dame money line.
People hate those.
By the way, I will say this. I will say to Mikey's credit, and I don't normally take devil's advocate when it comes to Mikey V. So Jerry was a bit on the obnoxious side.
Of course he was. He knew what he was doing.
I heard Jerry was very toned down. I heard we had a toned down.
No,
Jerry.
I got to a point where he was poking the bear a lot.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Anyways,
that's what he's good at. That's why he's got a job poking the bear for a living.
I love Jerry, but
Jerry's the best. You're gonna find me hanging. Browns are playing the Colts. They're in Indianapolis, and the Cleveland Browns are a 2-point favorite. Joey D, who do you like there?
I actually like the Colts here. I know I'm flip-flopping on the Browns. I said Browns last week. I think that there are some teams that week to week just aren't consistent. The Colts play much better at home. I actually think that they're going to run the ball a lot. I like the Colts here. I'll take the Colts with the points.
Here's what I'll say. If the Browns don't come out and do what they did to San Francisco, with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, they really need to tuck tail because you can't do what you did to San Francisco this week and then come out and lay an egg against the Colts. So give me the Browns because the Browns just have too much to prove. You cannot do what you did to the best team consensus in the league. I think everyone would agree to that. Before they lost, everyone said San Francisco was the best team in the league. I still believe they're the best team in the league. You can't do what you did to them and then go lose to the Indianapolis Colts with a backup quarterback. You cannot. So the Browns, to me, have to win this game. This is a must-win game to establish any sort of credibility as a decent team in this league. Give me the Browns. I'll take the Browns. It's a must-win for them.
It's an any given Sunday league. That can't just be for the Eagles.
100%. But they got to do it.
Here's my thought process. All right. I said last week everybody was going to bet on San Francisco and the Browns were going to. The Browns just beat San Francisco. The Colts got dismantled by the Jaguars. The betting public is going to look at this game and they're going to say the Browns beat the 49ers and now they're only 2-point favorites. You know what? Fuck it. I'm making this my game of the week. I'm taking the Colts to cover.
Wow. You know what?
I'm telling you what, everybody and their mother is going to bet on the Browns because they just won. They're playing without their starting quarterback. The Colts don't have Anthony Richardson. They just got beat to shit by the Jaguars. I'm going against the grain. I'm going with Vegas. Give me the Colts and the points. I'll take the Colts +2. And I almost even think the Colts win this game.
I mean, +2, you might as well take a money line. What are they going to lose by 1?
Well,
I mean, they could.
Fuck it. Give me money line.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
You know what? I'll die on the sword. I'm not just going to take favorites.
You're
Give
going
me
to
the
die
dog.
on the Gardner Minshew sword. That's a hell of a sword.
That's a hell of a sword. It's a
I'll tell
dull
you what.
sword.
I tell you what, Jonathan Taylor's starting to look decent. I bet you he's going to have a pretty decent game this week.
Yeah.
You know what?
Lord knows I need. I got him in fantasy. It's waiting for something.
The only thing worse than laying on a knife is laying on a butter knife, because that's going to take a lot longer, but it's still going to kill you. And that's what Gardner Minshew is. You know what? I have seen this trend so many times. Joe is exactly right. I mean, it's not 100% true, but it seems
They're going to get blown out of the water, or they're going to win this game.
I agree. And you know what? I never learned my lesson. I've never learned my lesson. I'm going to learn my lesson this week. Everything's telling me to take the Browns. But I actually like Joey D's reasoning. He's changed my mind. I'm going with the Colts. I will take the points, though. I'll take the points.
Take the points, Tick.
But man, Gardner Minshew looked like ass. And Deshaun Watson's comment, he looks like he's going to be back. And I'm sure he's going to have. He didn't look great before he got hurt. So how good is he going to look? Probably coming back a little early. But fuck it, give me the Colts too. Yeah,
this is a ballsy game of the week for me. I'm really going out of my.
That is. And you know, there are some people that only see the Instagram and don't listen to the episodes, so they're not even going to know what your reasoning is. But we'll see if it pays off.
I'm saying this right now: they will either get blown out or they will win this game. There's no in between.
Yep. All right. The Bills are taking I know Mikey V thinks that the Chicago Bears are the worst team in the league, but the Bills this week are playing the actual worst team in the league. They're going to New England, and Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorite. Mikey, who do you got there?
Yeah, it's too low of a line. It's actually fishy, that line. I don't know why the line is 8.5. It should be double-digit spread.
Yeah.
Maybe which makes you think twice. It really does. That being said, give me the Bills.
I'm going to go with the Bills too this week. I think they bounced back. I think Josh has a big game. The Patriots are a mess, man. Mac Jones is a disaster. This guy, he could be a problem too. I mean, this guy coming out of Alabama looked like he had all the answers. He looked like, like he was going to come through.
Phillies won 0-0 already, Tick.
Yeah, I know. I'm keeping a close eye there. Keeping a close eye.
Give me the Bills.
Give me the Bills. Okay, I'm going to take the Bills as well. Yeah, not a lot to say. Patriots stink. Commanders heading to MetLife playing the Giants. Commanders are a 2-point favorite. Joey D, who do you like there?
I like the Commanders. I think. Listen, the Giants played very tough last week. But I just don't think that they have enough overall, and they are decimated. You see how many injuries they have, man. Yeah. They are absolutely beaten and bruised. The Commanders looked solid last week against the Falcons. I actually like the Commanders. I like the Commanders to come out here and win this game and cover.
Give me the Giants money line. Yeah, I'll take the Giants money line. I think they're going to win the game outright. I think they made Josh Allen's night very difficult. I think they're going to I know how bad that Commander O-line is. It's bad. So I think with Saquon getting back into the mix a little bit now and looking a little bit better, I think Tyrod looked better than Daniel Jones. So I don't think that's a detriment to the Giants. And the way the Giants defense played, if they play that way against this Washington O-line, I think they're going to have their way with Sam Howell. I think they'll win the game. I think it'll be close, but I think they're going to win the game outright. Give me the G.
Saquon Barkley scores a touchdown this week.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to take the Giants. Easy. All right. Falcons are heading to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a 2.5-point favorite. Mikey, who do you like there?
Yeah, to me, dome team coming out of the dome, going to the muggy swamps of Tampa to have to play that game. Tampa coming off a game where they really were outclassed by the Lions. Baker's looks like he's old Baker. Sorry.
He looked bad.
Yeah. But the Falcons are a weird team. They're just a weird They're a weird team. They're another any given Sunday team that could just fucking surprise you.
Desmond Ritter is a weird player. I think that
he's a weird player.
Yeah.
He's a weird player, but he's a dome player right now. Now,
Everyone
when he played
says.
in college, he was a Cincinnati guy. So, you played in Cincinnati, that ain't a dome, and that's shit weather, but it's cold weather. Now you're going into the muggy swamps. Give me Tampa Bay this week. I think their defense is going to fuck up the run game for the Falcons, which I think will in turn put too much on Ritter, which in turn will turn into a disaster for Atlanta. Give me Tampa. For no credit to Baker Mayfield, Tampa defense.
Joseph?
I'll piggyback on that. I'll take the Buccaneers. I think the Falcons are still trying to figure it out. They're just not a complete offense. To your point, Ticket, there's moments where Desmond Ritter makes plays and you're like, damn, that was an impressive play where he eludes a defender and like sees an open play and makes a pass. He did a few times last week. And then there's times where it's just like, this guy has no clue what he is.
I think we're so guilty as a collective group, not just us, but fans in general. I think we say too often, like, this guy makes the quarterbacks in particular, I'm talking about. We always say like, well, and then this guy will go out and he'll make a play. But I think we got to think about that. Like, there's a reason these guys are starting quarterbacks in the NFL, even if they're not to the standard of the elite quarterback. They're going to occasionally make an incredible play. They're the best quarterbacks in the world. So they're going to make their every once in a while, they're going to make
Ryan Tannehill.
It's just who could do it consistently. Tannehill's done some crazy things though in his career. He's had his moments where you're like, holy shit, I can't believe he ran that ball like that. Been a while, but Joe just don't like Tannehill. But
no, I don't either.
I'm just saying,
I agree.
What I'm saying is like these guys are capable of those moments, but it's the ones that can do it consistently. And to me, I don't think Ritter will ever be that guy.
No.
So
I think
same shit as they had with Mariota. Go ahead, Ticket. Sorry.
Oh God, Mariota.
Disaster. Yeah. I mean, Kyle Pitts is open on every fucking play. He's open every fucking time and they can't get him. I mean, last week they got him the ball a little bit more than they have in the past, but they got to find a way to get him the ball. They got to find a way to get Bijan Robinson. At the beginning of the season, he was amazing. He looked awesome. And he's gotten a little stagnant. They got to find a way to get him back involved.
And Algiers good too.
Yeah, and Algiers, Tyler Algiers, really good player as well. And I just don't think they're going to jumpstart it this week against the Bucs. I don't think this is the week to do it against a defense like that. So give me the Bucs. I want to take the Falcons. I really do, but give me the Bucs. Moving on, we're going to Detroit is going to Baltimore. Baltimore is a 3-point favorite hosting the Lions. Mikey V, who do you like there?
Baltimore, 3-point favorite hosting Detroit. Baltimore is one of those teams that I was high on preseason as one of my sleeper teams to win the whole thing. But another team that sometimes just makes you scratch your head what goes on with them. They're in Baltimore, Tick?
Yeah. They are. Yep. Over under 42.
Yeah, maybe a week that the Lions lose a football game. The Lions are going to have a great record when it's all said and done, but this could be a game where they don't win. So now they're getting 3, which is a lot for a team as good as the Lions have been. So that makes me scratch my head a little bit. So if I was to bet the game, I would bet, and I wanted to take Baltimore, I'd probably lay the juice and take Baltimore money line. But I'm not for our purposes. Give me the Ravens minus the 3. I'll take them. I think it's just a game where I could see no David Montgomery. He's going to be out. Jameer Gibbs still out.
No, he'll be back. I think he's going to be back. Jameer Gibbs.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah, but Montgomery's been the guy for them. I'm not saying Gibbs isn't talented. It could be. Yeah. Could be. I'm just saying I don't think it will be, not this week. So, Goff coming out of the dome, going to play in an outdoor, could be weathery over there. Don't know what the weather's going to be like in Baltimore Sunday. I kind of see this as a game that the Lions will drop. Like I said, I think they'll lose maybe 5 games this year, maybe 4 or 5 games. I could see them losing. This should be one of them. I think this will be one of them.
I think your assessment is good, Mikey, but I don't think that the Ravens will cover. I think that if you're getting 3 points with a team as good as the Lions, And that defensive front with Aiden Hutchinson, I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for Lamar. And we saw Lamar face a good defense in the Steelers. That defensive front, he was a mess. He couldn't figure it out. He couldn't make plays. I do agree with you. I think that the Ravens could find a way to win this game, but I'm getting 3 points with the Lions. I'm going to take those 3 points all day. I'll take the Lions here with the 3.
Yeah, in the NFC, we always talk about the Eagles. We always talk about the 49ers, but the Lions are really fucking good. And Jared Goff is, when a team believes in him, like the early Rams teams do, he plays well, or he plays well. He doesn't turn the ball over much. He's a good game manager. He seems to excel when teams and coaches believe in him. The second they don't, that's when we see the Goff that is miserable, and that we saw in the Super Bowl, and that we saw, with Sean McVay, that where it was going in the wrong direction. This Lions team, Dan Campbell believes in his team, and he believes in Jared Goff. And it does feel like, I agree with everything that Mikey said. It does feel like this is a loss for the Lions, but I think they're the real deal. I think right now, I think the Lions are with all the hurt people on 49ers, I think they might be the best team in the NFC right now. So I'm going to bet on them to win this game. I'll take, if we're betting the points, I'll take Lions in the points. I think they're going to play a really impressive game against the Ravens in Baltimore.
Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like one of the best.
Mikey knows better than anyone how good he is.
I mean, between him and Mostert, I got absolutely banged.
You acting like you didn't fleece Jake Yardley with that Mostert trade.
That was such a bad trade, man.
You're unreal.
A very, very, very fair transaction.
Oh yeah, fair transaction, my ass. I got Mostert, and who was it?
Laporta. Yeah, the tight end for the Lions.
I traded Tony Pollard and somebody else.
Mostert looked.
No, you only traded Tony Pollard. That was it.
Yeah, it was a 2-for-1 deal.
Was that it?
It was.
Oh yeah,
this guy's a scumbag.
Pollard broke a big one last night.
Oh yeah,
sure did. Yeah,
Mostert had
look at
fucking
he's asshole on purpose.
points.
This guy's unbelievable, man.
Just win.
I was 1 or 2 catches away from Keenan Allen last night.
That field goal, that last Dallas field goal, saved me.
That banged me, man. If you don't get that, and plus there was 2 different times.
He missed Allen on that bomb. That would have been
Herbert overthrew him. It would have been a touchdown. The game I would have been over.
Yep.
Anyways.
All right, moving on. Again, I got to piss like a fucking racehorse. We're moving on to the afternoon games. I'll leave you guys here with Cardinals at Seahawks. Seahawks are an 8-point favorite. Joey D?
Give me the Cardinals, man. 8 points is a lot of points. The Seahawks this last week, I tell you what, man, Geno Smith, there's times where he looks like he has control of the offense, and then there's times where he looks just completely in a daze out there. Like he looked bad, man. He was a liability. He was one of the reasons why the Bengals won that game, because every time I turned the TV on, the Seahawks had the ball.
Yeah.
And every time I turned, he was either getting sacked or throwing an interception or almost fumbling.
Yeah.
I think that he's not as good as advertised. Well, I don't even think he's actually advertised to be that good. Give me the Cardinals with 8 points. I mean, that's a lot.
What's the total in this game, Tick?
44.5.
Yeah, I love the under. And I think that you'll see the Seattle Seahawks revert to old school Pete Carroll, and Ken Walker's going to get like 30 carries, like 25 to 30 carries. I think that this game is going to fly under, and I think you could safely take the Cardinals with 8 points. I do. I know that's going to sound a little crazy because that's a pretty large spread, but the Seahawks are not deserving of an 8-point spread. There's no way that the Seattle Seahawks should be an 8-point favorite to the Arizona Cardinals, who have played a lot of good teams tough, and then the Buffalo Bills are only an 8.5-point favorite against New England. Make that make sense. Something is wrong there. Now, that means that New England is either going to come out of nowhere with a miracle game, or Arizona's going to cover this with ease. So something is off.
The Cardinals beat the Cowboys.
Yeah,
they're not a great team, but they're not terrible.
No, they're not at all. And they should have beat the Giants. I mean, not that the Giants are a good team, but I mean, the Cardinals, they played the Commanders tough. They played everybody tough. So give me the Cardinals plus the 8 and the under.
The under. Yeah, I'm going to take the
like
Cardinals as well. It's just fishy. Pete Carroll, and sometimes I really do.
That game may end 10-7. I'm serious.
I know you are, and it might. But you know what? There are times where Joshua Dobbs looks pretty good.
Yeah.
We just said this.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, I was gone.
No. We said this about Ritter, how Bear Down said
right.
these
right.
guys
Oh, right.
We always revert.
No,
Sure.
this guy
Yes.
made
There
a
are
play the other
times
day.
This
looks pretty
guy
good.
sometimes, which also
Once
makes
in
you
a
feel
great
like you're
while.
so spoiled when you see a guy like Aaron Rodgers come along.
That's the whole thing. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
All
So,
right,
yeah,
give me the Cardinals. Moving on here. What was that, Mikey?
I said, all right.
All right. We
Hey,
got the
have you given
Packers.
the game of the week yet?
Not yet. We haven't gotten there yet. We got 3 games
Okay.
left.
Wow, it's crescendoing.
It's crescendoing. But we're just going along here. This is the afternoon games. The Packers are heading to Denver. The Packers, it's basically a pick 'em, but the Packers are a 1-point favorite in Denver. Joey D, what are your thoughts there?
Joseph.
If the Packers don't win this game,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I had to watch them lose to the Raiders live. If the Packers don't win this game, then we have to really start questioning if they're even potentially a wild card, like a third wild card team, or if they're not. This to me is going to be indicative. After coming off a bye week, they've had a whole week to rest, to prep for this game. Hopefully Aaron Jones, God willing, is finally healthy and able to play. If they don't win this game, I'm telling you right now, then the Packers are going to barely win 6 games this year, because this game to me should be a win. The Broncos are in disarray. There's a plethora of things wrong with this team. This should be a Packers win. And
What's
for
the
that
total?
reason,
What's the total in this game, Tick?
44.5.
Oh, yeah, give me the under in this game too.
give me the Packers this week. A -1. I mean, they literally just have to win the game. If they can't beat the Broncos, who are without a doubt, in my mind, aside from the Patriots, maybe the worst team in the NFL, then there's a serious. They just had a bye week too. I mean, it's not like they're traveling and it's up in a mile high. It's the elevation. Like, they have a whole week to prepare and get ready for this game. The Packers should win this game.
Yeah. Could be an ugly football game.
It's going to be an ugly football game.
Yeah, I think it is. So I love the under. But you got to pick the game. Listen, Green Bay has to win the game, like Joe said. This is not a game that they could afford to lose. Denver, I thought, hung around with the Chiefs somewhat, last Thursday.
The Chiefs play down to their opponent every time.
They do. Yeah, listen, Denver, tough place to play. They always, but I'll take Green Bay. I really don't like it. I would never bet this game ever, but I would bet the under. But I would never bet the spread in this game, but I'll just take Green Bay.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers. I said in the beginning of the year that this Broncos team ain't winning more than 4 games, and I think the Packers are going to be a piece of that puzzle. Yeah, I think the Packers are going to be a piece of that puzzle. Give me the Packers to win this game. I mean, that's all it's going to take. All right, moving on to the last afternoon game. We have the Chargers playing the Chiefs. I'm just looking right now. Do we not have? There's no Sunday night game here. I got no Sunday night game.
Yeah, it's you. It's Eagles Dolphins.
Eagles Dolphins.
Is it
Sunday night?
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Why do they have it all the way down there? They usually have it in a row. That's ridiculous. Okay, last afternoon game. Chargers heading to Kansas City. Kansas City is a 5.5-point favorite. Mikey, who do you like there?
The fucking Chiefs never fucking cover.
They don't cover.
They just
don't.
never fucking cover. Now they did cover last week. They did cover last week. But they never, ever do things easily. The Chiefs, they just never do. But then again, everybody, the Chargers are the most overhyped team every year because they have such elite talent everywhere. Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams before he got hurt.
Parham.
Yeah, Parham's pretty good too. Yeah.
They just stink. They stink.
They
The
do.
Chargers, the head coach is a bozo. I don't know how he's still employed. Kellen Moore is going to be the heir apparent to that job. Kellen Moore will get the head coaching job in LA, and he should. And he was pressing the right buttons last night, but Justin Herbert could not execute. He missed too many throws last night. And this is a guy who just got paid a fucking bag. Now they got to go into KC. Place is a fucking nightmare to play in. Now the Chargers have played them tough historically.
They always play them tough.
They play them tough. They really do. What's the total in this game, Tick?
48.
I take the over in this game. I like the over in this game. I'm going to take all those things I just said and how they stink. I'm still going to take the Chargers. Plus,
I'm taking the Chargers.
I'm going to take the Chargers. And I just gave a litany of reasons why I shouldn't, but I'm going to, because I just don't believe that this Chiefs team they win, but there's something not right. There's something that's not optically the same with them. Give me the Chargers. I think the Chiefs probably win, but give me the Chargers with the points.
I have yet to see the Chiefs blow the doors off a team and win. Well, okay, that's that. But that game, no one in their right mind.
That's correct.
The Bears were going to cover anyways.
That's correct.
I'm saying any of these games where they're playing a team that's like ample capable.
Divisional opponent.
They have not shown me. And for some reason, they're just a team that everybody always bets on. It's like everybody and their mother is always on the Chiefs. And it's like, if you actually take the Chiefs to cover, you're watching, you're like, okay, at what point they'll start out like up 2 touchdowns. Or at what point are they going to slip up?
Right.
And it's going to happen again, man. I'm telling you right now, the Chargers is the play.
If there is a team in this league that is due for a fucking loss, now they haven't lost since week 1. The Chiefs, they lost to Detroit.
They lost to the Lions.
If there is a team that is due for a loss as a good team, it's this Kansas City Chiefs team is due for a loss. Now I ain't saying the Chargers are going to beat them outright, but it's coming. It's coming soon. Yeah. They're going to lose a game to a team they shouldn't, and this may be the week. It may be.
What do you
like?
And
that's the reason this is the game of my week.
Yeah,
man. The Chiefs just play down to every single fucking opponent. It's so annoying. The Chargers, that's such a bad loss. They left about 21 to 24 points on the table last night. They just could not. They got in the red zone almost every fucking drive, and they couldn't put it in. And I think they will against the Chiefs through no help of the coach. Like Mikey said, I think he's a bozo. He's probably the worst going. But
not
man,
Eberflus, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd still put this guy at 1. This guy is
he's bad. He's a problem.
He's as bad as it gets. Yeah. And he's been a problem for so many weeks in a row. We can't even use him for the Who's a Problem segment. He's such a bozo's the perfect word for it. So anyway, I think Justin Herbert will bounce back. It was such a bad night for him. They couldn't get in the end zone, and I think they will. Again, I don't think they'll necessarily win the game, but I think the Chiefs play down so often. I wouldn't be shocked if they go out 14-21-0 and let the Chargers come back in this game. I like them to cover. It's my game of the week. I like them to cover.
Good for you, Jack.
Yeah. And the last game of the week, we got the Monday night game. 49ers are going to Minnesota, and they are a 7-point favorite. 49ers are a 7-point favorite. Over under 44.
49ers are going to fucking massacre that Minnesota team. Any team that had any self-respect would have fucking smoked the Vikings by 20 the way the Vikings played on Sunday. They would have fucking pole smoked them. The difference is that the Bears are just an organizational disgrace. The Vikings are going to get demolished on Sunday. The San Francisco 49ers, listen, the Niners smoked the Cowboys. They popped off their mouths. Everybody ran their mouths in the locker room. We're the best team in the league. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram Live telling people they're the best team in the league. There will be guys in that locker room, McCaffrey, Williams, maybe not Debo, but McCaffrey, Trent Williams. There will be guys in that locker. Fred Warner will bring that Hufanga. They will bring that team together, and they will say, everyone shut the fuck up. And we got to go take care of business because we haven't won shit yet. We've been to the Super Bowl. We've been to the NFC title game. We're there every year, and we have not won shit. And this is part of the reason why. We always count our chickens before they hatch. They are going to come out and steamroll the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. They're gonna crush them, embarrass them in front of their home fans. It's going to be a bloodbath. They are going to be out for blood. That being said, I really would prefer if McCaffrey plays because he's the best player in maybe in the league this year. He's so unfucking believable. But I just think San Fran is set up to, this is going to be a game where they are going to show no mercy. Again, remember, Vikings, no Justin Jefferson again. He's on IR. He's going to be out. Who's going to, they are going to tee off. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them, Ticket. They're going to win. You know what? I know I said my game of the week earlier was the over in the Philly Dolphin game. I'm going to go again with the Niners this week. I have to change it because now I forgot about this game and I had it penciled in my head. Niners, what is it, 7, Tick?
7 points.
7, yeah.
I would recommend and advise you outline this to Niners -14 to get juice in your favor, to make it plus 300, whatever it is. Niners by 30 on Sunday.
Wow.
Joey D.
Monday. Even more so, Monday night. Kirk Cousins on a Monday night.
Yeah, that's tough.
Kirk Cousins in prime time. I'm dead serious. I swear.
Right.
I will post it on my Instagram. I am going to alt-line the Niners by 16 and a half on Monday night.
Mikey,
I'm gonna alt-line the Niners.
Mikey,
minus 16 and a half, Joe. They're gonna win by 17 or more points on Monday night.
Dog.
They're gonna win by over 17 points Monday night,
right.
Joe.
All right, Joe. You gonna do that,
Mark
or
that
you gonna
down.
take the line that Vegas gives you? What are you doing?
I'll just take the Niners and just be on my way.
That was crazy. Okay. Yeah,
I don't know if it's some kind of revenge path of the Vikings after they beat the Bears, but I can't go against what he just said. Give me the Niners.
By the way, Tick, breaking news for the Eagles that you might want to hear.
Oh, no.
Okay.
The Eagles have applied for a trademark for brotherly shove, presumably with the intention of selling merchandise such as clothing, hats, and hoodies. That is breaking news. The brotherly shove getting patented. Good
well, it's better than the tush push. I mean, that was
a lot better than
tush
push. A lot better than the tush push.
Glad we changed that. Interesting. Give me the 49ers as well. I think that Joey D and I both did our Who's a Problem already. I don't know if Joe, you want to go into a bigger, Mikey V, do you have a problem? Mine was the NCAA with the Big Ten football games. Joey D, yours was, what was it?
Mine was Bryce Harper.
In a good way. In a good way. Mikey, who's your problem this week since Joey D and I already went?
Yeah, my problem this week would have to be if I couldn't do just coaching in general, because I think coaching has been such a major problem this year. Just coaches making some bizarre decisions. My problem this week would have to be I think my problem of the week is going to have to be Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones, and he didn't play this week, he's hurt. So I'm not saying it's based off this week. I just think that for the amount of money that this guy got paid, Tyrod Taylor came in and looked a lot better than Daniel Jones has looked all year. Yeah. And he's playing behind the same dog shit offensive line. And he's playing against a better defense than Jones has faced pretty much all year. And he's playing at Buffalo. And to do what he did and bring them to the brink of winning a football game. And by the way, it's controversial that they didn't even win the game because a lot of people saying that was PI in the end zone on the last play. But Joe's watching his fucking Instagram story. It's incredible.
You're watching his own
Instagram story. It's unbelievable.
I actually no
respect for my. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch my "he's a problem" to Joe. Joe's a problem.
Joe's a problem.
You know what happened? Somebody was saying that this beautiful hoodie's not worth $100. I was clicking on it and responding to an errant message that should not be there.
Be true.
Yeah. Anyway,
hand to God.
I really think for Giants fans, I mean, I think what I saw Monday night was it Monday, Sunday night. What I saw Sunday night in Buffalo, if I'm a Giants fan, concerns me deeply. To see the way Tyrod Taylor performed after you just gave that bag to Daniel Jones is a problem. And he's going to be a problem because you're stuck with him now for at least one more year. You got to bite that bullet. And you overpaid him.
And he ain't it. Saquon.
And he ain't it. Yeah, and I don't know what they're going to do there. I really don't know because if they finish the year abysmally, they're not going to spend money on a running back. It just doesn't make any sense. So Yeah, Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Problem.
All right. Since Joey D and I already went, that's who's a problem this week. Bryce Harper, Daniel Jones, NCAA. Moving on here, we're going to go to viewer questions, and then we'll wrap it up. First question comes from Drew Page. Drew Page wants to know, what's the best oh my God moment from this sports year so far? Joey D, what's your best oh my God moment so far?
What does that mean? Oh my God.
Like holy fucking shit, like crazy thing in sports. Well, like something that you saw that was absolutely nuts that you wouldn't
I'm
have
gonna tell you
expected.
right now, Colorado losing after being up 29 points at halftime.
It's a good one.
If you went to bed and you woke up the next morning and saw that they lost, you wouldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the epitome of an implosion through and through. And unfortunately, it's not a good thing. Oh my God, this is an oh my God, this team is not what we thought they were. Yeah, that was horrific. That was the plus 6,500, you said, Mikey, at halftime. I mean, no one in their right mind would have ever thought that Standford was even going to be within 2 touchdowns of this game, let alone come back and win. That was unbelievable.
Mikey?
Yeah, I got to tell you another one from this week that I don't know if people saw it. The finish in the, I want to say it was the West Virginia,
Houston, West Virginia. I had Houston. I had Houston. It was unbelievable.
I know I'm forgetting. I know somebody's going to say in the comments the things that we forgot, but again, we're just going off the top of our head. Wasn't prepared for this question, but I should have been because Mr. Anderson sent it. So shame on me. But West Virginia bettors -3. They go ahead and take the lead, and then they allow a Hail Mary on the last play to Houston. That was absolutely like impossible. That was an absolute, oh my God, that, or I would say maybe the Dolphins hanging 70 on the Broncos was like, holy shit, that's not even possible.
I would say though, Mikey, if you watch that I watched that whole game because I had Houston.
Yeah.
West Virginia should never have even been in a position to be up. They were down 11 points. They scored 2 touchdowns in 3 minutes. And on the last play, it was like 20 seconds left. They threw like a slant route that went 50 yards. It was ridiculous. Missed tackles.
Or even the Miami Georgia Tech game the week
That's
before.
mine.
Oh, that's wild.
That's not even this year. That might be the biggest oh my God for me. In the last couple years that I've seen, you just knee the ball and you win the game. And I think he wanted to get the running back over 100 yards. Maybe that's what it was. Whatever it is, that's Mario Cristobal. I mean, Joey D, you know as good as I do that Colin Cowherd, when he went to Miami, he acted, a lot of these guys, but him most of all, acted like Mario Cristobal was saving college football by going to Miami. This was going to be this was the rise of college football taking over NFL. This will be America's sport because Mario Cristobal is going to Miami. And he makes one of the very worst coaching decisions I've ever seen. And I've seen quite a few, especially from Urban Meyer when he was coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars. That takes the cake. It was the worst head coaching football decision of all time. That's about as oh my God as it gets. But also going back to WVU, those Mountaineers are a scrappy football team. Don't you? They're a problem. You don't want to sleep on them. They're not great. But you don't want to come in
Houston with me.
You don't want to go to Morgantown. I'm just saying you don't want to go to Morgantown and sleep on them because they'll try to take advantage of you. But then they always do this. Even when I was there, back when Geno Smith was the quarterback, they love giving up late points. 30 seconds left, close ball game. They love giving up points. It's in their DNA. It's in some teams' DNA, just like the Chargers, just finding ways to lose football games, just like Kirk Cousins finding ways to lose football games. It's just in some people's DNA. All right, moving on. Thanks for the question, Drew Page. We'll move on to Wes Snoots. Will we see a much-deserved apology that the ticket was right about the birds? I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying that's his question.
I don't think me and Joe have anything to apologize for. I never said that Ticket is like, all I'm saying is that Ticket's down on his team a little bit. Well, Ticket's not even down on his team. He's just, he's
cautiously optimistic.
He's being hypercritical of his team because that's his team. So, I mean, he has the right to do so. Even when, like Ohio State's the number 3 in the country or number 4 in the country. I'm very hypercritical of them. I have been all year, and I will continue to be, because when you're one of the top dogs in your respective league, if you're a true fan, I don't think it's just rainbows and sunshine all the time. You have to call out the weaknesses where you see them. Tickets calling out the weaknesses where you see them. All I was saying was that I would kill to be in Ticket's position with my professional football team. I would kill to be there.
I think it's fair to.
That's it.
I think it's fair to say that you being hypercritical when you expect your team to be a championship team, that is a fair time to be hypercritical, not just, a run-of-the-mill team. Like, you take what you could get. Ticket's expecting this team to win the Super Bowl, or that's where his expectation level is. So fair for him to have that expectation and to be super critical. All my point, and I think to Mikey's point as well, is this isn't college football. The teams that are the best teams lose on Sundays. We saw this week, we saw the Niners, who we said were the best team in football. We saw them lose. The Eagles, they lost to the Jets. The Bills almost lost to the fucking Giants. So when we say it's like, if you find ways to win football games ugly throughout the season just to get your wins, so you secure home field advantage, you put yourself in a position to be successful throughout the playoffs, that is what you want. Now, there's things the Eagles have to address, and it showed this week, and I think Ticket's right on that. But I don't think that we're like telling Ticket he's an idiot for, I just think we say to be appreciative of the fact that you do have a championship contending team.
Yeah, I'm not expecting an apology either. I don't think that you guys have gone in on me or anything. I mean, and also it's not like that loss was to a dog shit team. I think that's one of the top 5 NFL defenses in the league. I mean, I think they're an extremely talented defense. But it did expose them, and it definitely highlighted some of the things I've been saying, but I don't think by any means, I deserve an apology. I deserve an apology from some of you in the comments. That's where the apology is deservedly so. That question was from Wes Snoots, by the way. Thank you for your question, Wes. We'll do two quicker ones. This one comes from Brady Vincent. What age did you guys start sports gambling, and what got you into it? Joey D, let's start with you.
I didn't. When I was younger, I would buy like a couple tickets from the gas station. You could go and make your picks, and I would do like some parlays. I was maybe 20 something, 22, 21, but I don't think I was I don't think I was actually putting anything on the games. Probably in the last 4 to 5 years, I'm 37 now, so probably my mid to late 30s, where I have a little bit of extra coin or I can chuck around. I started getting into it. But again, I think if you're betting on games and stuff, it's so unpredictable, and no one ever a good handicapper, which I'm not a handicapper. Mikey V is quite good. But you'd say anything over 50%, if you're 50 to 60%, you're very successful. And that just goes to show that you can lose a lot. So I think as long as you enjoy watching the games first and foremost, and you put something that you can afford to lose, Mikey V says it all the time, then I think that's it. I think too many people take sports gambling and take it to the next level, and they act like they're going to make a living on it. Anybody who knows will say that that's not the way to approach it. So have fun with it, bet on your team, bet responsibly, but just know that even the best in the business, they're never going to be right all the time. It's not the way that it works. But I would say my mid-30s to answer your question.
Mikey?
Yeah, I cashed my first 6-team NFL parlay as a sophomore in high school, and I haven't looked back since. So maybe 15 years old. But no, listen, from where I'm from, in the area I'm from, sports gambling, you could not have a conversation in my household at family parties on a Sunday or something without hearing about the spread and who's got the over and who's got the, that's just the type of environment there is out here on the East Coast. It's very big. It was very prevalent. Now it has gone to a level of absurdity, obviously, with all the mega books and legalization of it everywhere. And we do love our friends and our partners over at DraftKings. I might want to add that right in there. But yeah, of course, I always do, betting responsibly, betting with your head and not over it. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's not supposed to be about chasing, money to buy a car, money to buy a house. If God blesses you and you get extremely lucky and hit some kind of crazy odds pick of some sort, then just take it for exactly that and just be blessed and walk away on top and ration your money out appropriately. But if you see some of these people on Instagram and you see some of these people on social media that are these gambling moguls that, that purport themselves to be millionaires and that they built it off a gambling empire, let me explain something to you. 99 times out of 100, these people began with a bankroll that was not earned from sports gambling. It was a bankroll that they already had established, whether they inherited it from mommy and daddy, whether they had an established business already. Do not buy into that. Be very careful. But that being said, yes, 15 years old.
I don't think I got involved until I went to West Virginia, and I on the Bob the Sports podcast, we talked about it, how I even got my nickname Big Ticket. I was a pretty awkward kid and I didn't know how to make many friends. So when I saw an opening with some people who were betting on sports, I saw it as a way to make friends. And then it just took. Like I started it as a way to make friends, but it ended in me really liking it. So I was probably 18. Lost a lot of money back then, didn't know what I was doing, just enjoyed throwing some cash on some games, man, and making games really that wouldn't normally be interesting. Yeah,
well, that's the key too. It makes, that's what gambling does. But to me, it's like I could have, and listen, I'm blessed to be in a position where I could bet, a decent amount of money on a game if I wanted to. But I'm going to be honest, if I have a $25 bet on something, I could root for it and get heavily into it. The unit shaming is bullshit. Like, I never like to hear any of that, or, oh, you only bet X amount of dollars. Like, that's called unit shaming in sports gambling, and that's disgusting. It's not about that. It's just having an invested interest in the game. That's what makes it fun, because, let's be honest, you're not staying up at 11 o'clock at night to watch Hawaii against Standford for the love of the game. I mean, maybe some people are, and that's good and well, but there's nothing more fun than Saturday being able to,
that's right.
The kids are asleep, wife's asleep, got the TV all to myself. There's Pac-12 kicking off at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I could watch a game until fucking 1 o'clock. It's just great. It's just
great. You could actually bet on a guy
fun
to make rushing yards or receiving yards,
yeah,
and you know nothing about it, and all of a sudden you have interest in the game. You have stake in the game. That's what it does.
Yeah, bro. In college, dude, I was betting on JCCs. I was watching like Houston Air Force games. It was out of control. So don't do that. But thank you for your question, Brady. And we'll do one more and we'll get out of here. This one should be a quick one. This one's from Noah DeVos. If you had to choose one chain restaurant to eat at for the rest of your life, which chain is it? Joey D.
Jeez, man. Oh my Lord.
We make another pitch at Wendy's here, Joe.
Are we talking fast food, or are we talking like?
I think anything that's
chain,
a chain. Any chain. You can take Mastro's if you want.
You know what I would go with? I'd go with the Cheesecake Factory. They got so many menu items.
Big menu.
You could have something different every day of the week, and you would never go wrong. Give me Cheesecake Factory.
Mikey?
Cool. You could go ahead and lock me in for, I've been an advocate of this place for a very long time. It's got a lot of nostalgic purpose to me. Yeah, lock me in for Houlihan's. I like Houlihan's.
I don't even know what a Houlihan's is.
There you go.
I grew up in Jersey. I don't even know what a Houlihan's is.
Houlihan's, yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, so I guess I'll stand by it and make this my pick. I could eat the Santa Fe skillet from Denny's every single fucking day of the year. So lock me in for Denny's, because I'll eat that one fucking dish every day. But that's
how I feel. That's how I feel about the chicken fingers from Houlihan's.
From Houlihan's,
so
yeah, sure.
So good. Wash it down with an ice cold blue whale, real nice.
I like where Joe's head's at, though. I think that the diversity in the Cheesecake Factory menu, I mean, you could have something different every day. It's a great call.
Very good call. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, this was a long one. This was about 2 hours. So we made up for last week.
Yeah,
it was like
my Lord,
50
I was
minutes.
expecting a quick one.
When I go upstairs,
Nicole and I are supposed to be at the beach right now.
I am going. I got a news for you. When I go upstairs, the kids were still awake as of a half hour ago.
Yeah,
I am going to get fucking killed when I go upstairs, because I thought you guys said you had to stop at 8 o'clock. So I was like, listen,
I thought we were doing a quick one too.
They can't do 8 because I thought we couldn't do 8.
We just kept going. But you know
I'm
why
gonna
we did
get
it? We
I'm
did it
gonna
for the
get
people.
killed. So it was
It was
nice.
a great episode, but yeah, we're all
was.
gonna get banged.
Yeah,
we're all gonna
It was
get
nice
banged.
knowing. It was nice knowing you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Might be the last one we do for a few weeks, so enjoy it.
One. But we did do it for them. We did it for the people. We did
Yeah,
it for you
we
guys.
did.
Hope you enjoyed this one. It was a good one. It was a long one. Mikey V is going to be dead. Joey's going to be dead. And this week's episode of Bob to Sports won't come out because I didn't edit. Gentlemen, that's another episode of The Sportsman. That's Mikey V. That's Joey Coldcuts. And I am the Big Ticket. And we will see you folks next week.